Hello, ladies. We are back for day 28. I am with you for Step by Obedience. We're going to dive into this one today. My name is Tiffany Bacon, and we are still in the Healing Soul of a Woman devotional, Overcoming Emotional Wounds. And let's get right into it. So, Genesis 12 and 1. Now the Lord said to Abraham, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. So Abraham was a man of great faith. And just like Abraham, we are also tested. Our faith is tested, okay? And our obedience, our faith goes from glory to glory, right? And so one thing that in this story that's shared in the Bible, and Joyce speaks on it as well, is that God he has to develop our trust and our faith. And so in the story with Sarah and Abraham, they were in their 90s, I think in their late 90s, and they had a child. They were God had shared with them that they were having a child. They lied, they didn't believe it, but God showed himself faithful. So I believe that Abraham, in his in God's request for him to sacrifice his son, Abraham was obedient because he knew who God was. They had a relationship. And when we know who God is, and it just, our faith walk is that much more, and we're obedient to the things that God has us to be. Okay. So one thing that really that I wanted to share is in our obedience, we're not always, and I'm going to say I was not always obedient to the things of God. And I sure, and there's some things that I kind of still kick and scream on, that I have kicked and screamed on, because it's like, when you don't understand, we don't understand what route God is doing. And but it's not up for us to understand, right? His ways are not like our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And so it's not up to us to understand, because we don't hear about Abraham saying, well, Lord, why would you want to take my son when you just bless my son? I mean, just bless my wife with, and my family with a son. Why would you take him? What's your reason for blessing me, and then you're trying to take my son away from me? You don't hear Abraham having that discussion with God. But oftentimes we do. We're just trying to figure out, okay, well, Lord, why are you doing it that way? Or why, it's just, in our minds, we think it's just so much simpler for us to put our hands on it, touch it. But that that throws it out pretty much off course, because God is not going to touch something that we put our hands on. When we have to take our hands off. And I had to learn that. One thing that Joyce did say is that there are many people who simply refuse to take the first step until they see every step along the way. And that was so me. I recall in my early years, my relationship with God was not where, at all where it is now. And I would not move. If God told me to do, I would not move, because I wanted to know, well, why, or what you doing, or why you doing it that way. Oh no, I'm not, no. Like, Lord, okay, Lord, you got to show me this. You got to show me what's your step, what's your purpose is behind this. And I would not move. I would remain stagnant. There would be no growth, right? Because when we're stagnant, how are we growing? And God had to truly deal with me concerning that, even concerning these video series, these devotionals. God has spoke to me about doing this devotional sometime in November. And I was in the bookstore, as back then I was normally always in the bookstore, and he highlighted this book to me, and I didn't quite understand. I shared it with a friend, and we we discussed it a little bit and talked about, because at the time we were doing a partnership with her ministry, and I put it on the table for us to possibly do a study or something similar to, and but we kind of well, things happened, and beginning of the year, God brought it back to me again, and I'm like, Lord, like, I honestly, I sat on it because on a while, because I believe God is still working and perfecting this place where I truly hear his voice, to where I know without a shadow of a doubt, okay, God, I heard you. Okay, I'm moving forward. Because I've suffered so much with making choices in my life out of my hand and not hearing God, or I have made it to a place to where I have to make sure that it's God before I move. And so this particular time, God had continued to place it on my heart to do this devotional. And I went to counsel to just get clarity on, okay, is this God? Is this God? And I sat with God, and yes, be obedient. This is what I'm calling you to do. Go forth. And this is something that I've never done. I was scared, okay, fearful. But I know that our God is not a God of fear. He's a God of love, power, and a sound mind. So even in that, the first step was he highlighted a book to me. The second step was and this is step by step obedience. He highlighted a book. I had to purchase the book. He downloaded that, okay, that you're going to do a devotional series with this book on videos. And even in my fear, even in not sure how it would go, I just moved forward in what God was sharing. And so I want to encourage you as well. There's some things that God is asking you to do. And just like Abraham, just like and if we some are like Lot's wife, a lot of us. So Lot's wife was God had told Lot and his family to go leave Sodom and Gomorrah because he was getting ready to destroy the city. They moved forward. Lot's wife looked back, and I've always shared that. Well, I always thought that Lot's wife looked back because there was something within her that either craved the atmosphere that she was in, was leaving, and desired to go back, because her flesh, that's what she wanted. She did not want to move forward in the blessings that God had for her. And that is us, y'all. Oftentimes when we are obedient to the things of God, we are more concerned about our past and the pleasures that we've put particularly uh, encountered or lived with, and we don't want to move forward in the things that God is trying to get us to. But I want to share with you, if God is calling you out to do something, be obedient, guys. Listen, it can be a word. And then when you step out, then God will give you the next instructions to move forward. Trust me, I've been that individual that tried to maneuver and had to know every step. I had to know, and I'm just thankful that I am no longer in that place, but he's still working and still perfecting those things within me. But if there's something he's calling you to, be obedient. and allow him to guide, to get you to where he desires for you to be. It will be a blessing for your life, and your faith will go from glory to glory. I pray that this blessed you on today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for our next devotional. You all have a awesome day. Take care, and bye-bye.